live on YouTube now, and we will be recording in 3, 2, 1, and go. Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins. Welcome to the Black Business School. A lot of you in the Black Business School have been asking me all about Bitcoin. You've been asking me whether or not Bitcoin is a good thing to look into. If blockchain, what's the blockchain? What's cryptocurrency? And so I sent a call out to find anybody who's really knowledgeable in cryptocurrency and Bitcoin and all of that, just how all of that works. And so I found a brother by the name of Mr. Sinclair Skipper. Sinclair is the
Skinner.
founder and
Skinner.
CEO. Oh, sorry.
Skinner. Last
Say it
is
again?
Skinner. Skinner.
Skinner. Oh, Skinner.
Yes, sir.
Then forgive me for that. Forgive me for that. The
No, it's
person
all
sent the
good.
name over. She put Skipper, but it's okay. Sorry about that. Sinclair Skinner, and Mr. Skinner is the founder of the company BitMari, which he's going to tell you a little bit about what BitMari does. It fits into the blockchain conversation, and he's very knowledgeable on this topic. He's been at this for a while. And first, I want to welcome Mr. Skinner. How you doing today, brother?
Hey, thank you, Doc. Thank you for having me. I'm doing excellent. I'm actually talking to you all the way in beautiful, wonderful, free Zimbabwe, Harare.
Uh-oh, you said you're all the way in Zimbabwe?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay,
We're
okay. Yeah,
yeah.
sometimes I guess
It'll be a delay.
yeah, there's a little bit of a delay. So what I'll do is I will talk slowly so that I let you kind of talk. So you do most of the talk and I'll do a lot of the listening. Can you tell me about BitMari and what you guys are hoping to do with BitMari? Uh-oh, looks like the delay is huge. I might have to bring it back in on audio because I think yeah, this ain't working. Oh guys, I'm so sorry about this. I was so excited about this conversation. Let me see what I can do here. Let me see if I can stop this video. Mr. Skinner, can you hear me? Okay, you know what? I think I'm gonna have to chop this. I don't know what the issue is. I know he's all the way in Zimbabwe, guys. So that's probably playing a part in the connection. What I'm probably gonna do is I'm gonna have to send him a notification and ask him to um, fix his internet connection or get a stronger connection. Give me 1 second here. Okay. All right. So since I can't get Mr. Skinner today, I'm so disappointed. I'm so sorry, guys. I don't really know what to do right now with this, but we're not gonna waste an opportunity to gather together. I know you guys came into class and you had questions and you wanted to ask, and oh my God, I feel so bad about that. How about this? Now I'm gonna tell you like this. I am not a Bitcoin expert. I can tell you a little bit about what I know. but Mr. Skinner was the expert, and so what we have is we have a queue of other experts that I'm going to bring in to meet with you in the Black Business School, so you can hear from a lot of people. And one of the things I'm going to start asking is that they make sure they have a strong enough Wi-Fi connection if they're on a PC, because typically when people come in through a cell phone or they're across the world and the Wi-Fi is kind of sketchy, it can cause problems. I'm going to see if we can get Mr. Skinner back, but I don't even really know if I want to continue having the dialogue if the Wi-Fi is not strong enough, so I can maybe work with him and bring him back next week or something like that when the Wi-Fi is stronger. So how about this? Why don't we jump in and have a conversation about wealth in general? You guys know I usually do wealth building Q&As and stuff like that. So what we can do is do a Q&A now, and and I promise you guys on the Bitcoin thing, I'll jump into that a little bit later. So let's see. Jess is asking about Ethereum. I don't know what Ethereum is. So he's saying everybody talks about Bitcoin, but what about Ethereum? I have no idea what Ethereum is. So I can't really say one way or the other. One thing I can say is that, when it comes to blockchain and Bitcoin, a lot of people are talking about Bitcoin, and that was the reason why I wanted to bring Mr. Skinner in, is because there's a lot of discussion about, just what Bitcoin can do. I've heard a lot of people applying that to the Black community. And they're saying, I've heard people on multiple occasions say that this would be a good way for Black people to have our own currency, our own situation going on. Let's see here. Okay, someone says Ethereum is a token with smart contracts. Okay, well let's look up. First of all, let's look up Bitcoin. Let's do this. Let's make this an exploratory class where we can get good use out of this time. I know you guys took the time to come in here today, so we're gonna do some learning. Like they say, we might not have a pastor, but we still gonna have church. All right, so let me hit a couple buttons here. All right, so what I want to do is I'm going to do a screen share with you guys, and we're literally going to do an exploratory analysis. And this is kind of a good way, a good habit to get into. If you want to learn about something, you can learn a lot with good Google searches, right? So let's say you start with the basics. Let's go out and say, let's start with what is Bitcoin. Okay, so let's see what the first definition that comes up is. Bitcoin is a type of digital currency in which encryption techniques are used to regulate the generation of units of currency and verify the transfer of funds operated independently of a central bank. So let's look at the CNN Money article on Bitcoin, and let's kind of look at the benefits of Bitcoin and why people have been talking about Bitcoin a lot. Now, Bitcoin isn't the only cryptocurrency out here. There are a lot of options out here, but Bitcoin is the most popular. A lot of people say that if I think that I saw a study that said if you had invested in Bitcoin, I think they said $100 worth of Bitcoin 7 years ago, it would be worth $5 million or $6 million or something like that. So obviously they got my attention because I said, wow, there's something that my students can get in on that might work for them. I want to at least talk about it. Now, I am not recommending that you go buy Bitcoin. I do not do investment recommendations. I do not tell you what stock to buy or anything like that. But what I do tell you in the Black Stock Market Program, it's et cetera, in the Black Wealth Bootcamp is that everybody should be invested. You have to invest in order to let your money grow. If you've got money that you're just saving, saving is not enough. If you got money that you're spending, that spending is economically self-destructive. So what I am big on, telling my students is you got to make sure you invest somewhere. You got to make sure you diversify. So here's what CNN Money says. Bitcoin's a new currency that was created in 2009 by an unknown person using the alias Satoshi Nakamoto. So, you never know. Satoshi Nakamoto might have been a brother in the hood who just found a Japanese name so he could cover up his identity. Transactions are made with no middlemen, meaning no banks. There are no transactions fees and no need to give your real name. So Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is very, very good for those who want to do anonymous transactions. So that means if you're selling Coke, or whatever, not that anybody should do that, or you are engaged in something that you don't want the government to know about, then Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, it might be the thing to look into. But I don't recommend you do any of that, of course. More merchants are beginning to accept them. You can buy web hosting services, pizza, or even manicures. So what's happening is that Bitcoin, Bitcoin is basically becoming a more widely accepted currency. And that's what's making it interesting. That's what's making it interesting. Basically, you're finding that Bitcoin is no longer something that kind of hides in the shadows. You're seeing it become a legitimate contender for an actual usable currency that can be used in a lot of places. Now, let me show you guys another chart. Let's see here. Market value of Bitcoin. Okay, so if you go here, what you find is that if you look here, this is the chart. So look, right now the Bitcoin is worth $2,821.87. That's a lot more than what it used to be worth. I mean, if you look here, you can see, back in 2013, you could have bought them for almost nothing. You had a peak over 1,000 in 2014, then you saw a big dip. So literally somebody who bought into Bitcoin around 2015 was able to really make a killing because you could have bought them maybe for 30, 40, 50, 80, 100 bucks. And oh wait, I think Mr. Skinner's back. Mr. Skinner, can you hear me? Okay, let me see if I can get Mr. Skinner in because I can't hear you, Mr. Skinner. I'm so sorry, man. We might have to do this at a different time if I can't get the audio to work. Can you hear me? Okay.
Hello?
Okay. I can hear you. You know what, Mr. Skinner? I think maybe we might want to try it when we get a better Wi-Fi connection. Did you check your Wi-Fi speed by chance? And Mr. Skinner, I'm gonna go ahead and shut this down, and you and I can talk offline because I can't hear anything, and I want to make sure that we're able to have a good conversation. So basically, I want you guys to know I'll bring him back into class sometime soon. I'm so sorry about this, and I'll have my assistant talk to him so we can make sure that next time we have a good transmission, because I don't want it to be stop and go when you guys have to sit here and watch us fumble with the technology. Just so you know, anybody who gets invited into the class or to the podcast, I want you to know one thing I ask for anybody, and a lot of you may want to come in if you are good at what you do, if you're a scholar that invented a cure for cancer or whatever it is, and you want to come into either Intellectual Chocolate or visit the Black Business School, you're welcome. You can feel free to send an email. You can email us at staff@boycewatkins.com. That's staff@boycewatkins.com. And I can just bring you in here. We can have a conversation. I love featuring Black people who are doing things that other Black people need to know about. So that's one of my favorite things. And so I invited our guests in to talk about Bitcoin because Bitcoin has been something that I really wanted my students to kind of understand. So you see here that if you bought into Bitcoin, say in 2013 or sometime around that time, you would have made a killing. If you bought it in 2015, even 2016, you would have done quite well. Now, the price is much higher than it used to be. So the $1 million question is it going to continue to go up, or is it overvalued? Is it going to lose steam, et cetera? And that's the hard part about investing. It's very, very difficult to predict what, now somebody keeps saying on Facebook, you guys are saying that you can't hear me. Some of you are saying you can hear me, and some of you are saying you can't. If you can hear me, you can see me. Just tell me you can hear me. Say, yes, I can hear you. And if I see a bunch of yeses, then I'll just assume that I'm coming through okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Sammy says I can hear you. Who else? Nathaniel says yes. Okay. Jet says yes. Royston saying yes. Makisha saying yes. Okay. So Dual Victory saying she can see me, and Dual Victory is also saying yes, she can hear me. All right. And so anyway, and Mr. Skipper, we're gonna have to do this at a different time because I can't really hear you. Yeah, it's not coming through good. So next time, try to see if you can get the Wi-Fi speed up a little bit, the upload speed a little higher, and then that way because it sounds like I can hear you now, but it's kind of weird to do class when the person's going in and out because it makes it hard for you to get your point across. Were you able to get? It sounds like I can actually hear you though. Did you get a better connection?
Yeah, I got a better connection, so it should be better now. But
okay, well let's go for it then.
I'm flexible. Okay.
Let's go for it. Let's see what we can do. Let's try it. All right. Okay, so as I mentioned to you guys earlier, Mr. Skipper is Sinclair Skipper is the founder of BitMari, which is a company that actually floats in that arena of digital currency. It's Afrocentric. It's kind of built for us, and I wanted to bring him in to give him a chance to kind of talk about what he's trying to do and what they're working on. He's actually in Zimbabwe right now, and so that's part of the reason I hope you guys can forgive any connectivity challenges. He's literally all the way across the world. So Mr. Skinner, I hope I didn't call you Skipper again. I'm sorry about that, man. But Skinner. So Mr. Skinner, tell me about your company, man. Tell me about BitMari.
Well, we're a Pan-African blockchain platform. We have a wallet where you can actually store your Bitcoins. You can actually use it also to connect to exchanges in order to purchase Bitcoin. We really are about trying to create a system where we don't have to go through third parties like PayPal, Visa, or the legacy bank system to do transactions. What we do is decrease the friction in transactions and increase the velocity of those transactions so small businesses can actually keep more of their money and do more transactions. And Bitcoin, the blockchain technology, is probably the first time in history where we've been able to allow people to take control of those transactions.
Okay, now let me ask you this. Again, I am not a person who's an expert on cryptocurrency at all. Now, everyone talks about Bitcoin, and you were talking about Bitcoin. So BitMari is not sort of an alternative to Bitcoin. It's sort of it coexists with Bitcoin, right? Can you explain that a little bit?
All right. So we're just like when you talk about Google, it's a application that uses the internet. BitMari is a company that uses Bitcoin to solve problems. So Bitcoin, even though people refer to it as a digital currency, which it is a technology. So it's probably the first time, let me just kind of back up for you. A dollar bill, if we can use analogies like a car, you can put people in it, you put the gasoline, but you still need a road. You still need something for it to travel on in order to be useful. Well, Bitcoin is the car and the road. You don't need Visa, you don't need a bank account, you don't need PayPal to facilitate your transactions with Bitcoin. It is the car and the road. So again, one of the first times in history, you're able to use a technology that's a store of value, that's also a payment platform, all in one. And so now it's decreased the cost of doing transactions. And it makes it no longer required to go to the Swift bank system where you got to wire money and wait 3 or 4 days and wonder where it is. No, our transactions using the Bitcoin platform, using Bitcoin, are almost instant, and they're very almost inexpensive. So it's one of those things, this technology is going to disrupt the financial sector, just like the internet disrupted publishing. Now, just like you having your own podcast, you don't have to go to a studio and pay all this money and go to a sound. You said, look, man, I got Zoom, I'm gonna hook my application up, and I'm live and in color.
I'm sitting in the kitchen with bananas behind my head. I mean, you know, that's how real it is. Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, brother. My bad.
And we're talking about freedom. That's our catchphrase is decolonize your life. We're talking about, even though we've normalized our oppression by not really talking about it, but we still live in a neo-colonial system where we're working inside of something that's very oppressive. And that's economically, that's politically, that's all kind of ways. We're saying that this technology is going to allow you not to depend on Bank of America, Wachovia, whatever banking institution. You now have the same power like you have right now, sitting with those bananas behind your head.
Wow.
Now with your transaction.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna tell you, brother. You know, it's really interesting you say that, because I think about, you know, our dealings with our banks. You know, we deal with multiple banks. We have different, you know, everything from PayPal to, you know, all the, you know, 2 or 3 different banks we work with, and then also you have the payment processors that you work with, you know, like the Stripe and stuff like that. And I really get a little irritated, you know, when I'm seeing, like, I'll see them do these manipulative things with the money, where I know that they're basically trying to hold on to the money. You know, they're trying to take that money, they're using that money while they're pretending like they don't have it. So I'm sitting there, I remember just, you know, thinking things like, wait a minute, if I sent the money to the other person and the other person ain't got it, where's my damn money at? And why is there a 2 or 3 day period where the money's just out there? You know, somebody's making money off of that money. Somebody's got that money invested, right? So that was one of the things that appealed to me about just the whole digital currency revolution. So I'm going to ask some basic questions, man, because I really want to try to understand this, and you're an expert on this. So help me with this, Mr. Skinner. So BitMari, you said that BitMari is a wallet, that it's a way to kind of manage your Bitcoin. Is that accurate?
Yes. So we're a wallet which allows you to store your Bitcoin, and in a couple of months we're going to have a remittance feature for folks who are in Zimbabwe to be able to cash out of Bitcoin back into local currency. So one of the biggest issues now is, what do you use Bitcoin for? In America, we talk about speculation, but in many parts of the world, the utility of being able to access funds and being able to transact with them becomes amazing. And now they have access to something that allows them to do that. There's not ATMs all over the world. There's not the same access to credit cards. And many, and let me give you an example, like in Africa, as a continent, has the highest remittance fees than any continent in the world. Now, that's not because of technology. These are predatory business practices. The same practices where we see in our communities in America, where disproportionately banks prey on our communities, the redlining, the lack of access to the ways they transact money, high fees. Well, we can render that level of oppression obsolete. I no longer wait for a taxi cab. You know why? Because I got sick and tired of being humiliated, right? And besides that, now I use Lyft. I've used the technology that now makes, when them taxis used to disrespect the hell out of me, passing me by. I don't have to call Jesse. I don't have to call Al Sharpton. I'm not even protesting to give them my money. No, I'm using Lyft. And I've rendered that. Now I don't have to think about, okay, if I got a meeting in Manhattan, I got to go across the town, how am I? No. I just call Lyft and they're waiting on me when I get downstairs. The same thing we can do with our money. When you're doing transactions, you don't have to use Stripe. You don't have to use any of these PayPals. People, you get what they call a Bitcoin address, which is really like a bank account. So you can give that out. You can actually post your Bitcoin address all over the world. No one can take your Bitcoin. Just like giving somebody your bank account. They can put money in if you give them the routing number, but they can't take it out. So you got your Bitcoin address, and then you have your keys, your private keys. That's like your PIN. You retain control of that. You don't share that with nobody, but you share your bank account number, or what we call the Bitcoin address, and people can send you money. So when people are on your podcast, you could flash your QR code. Your address can be in the form of QR code, or it could be a long series of alphanumeric series where you can actually let them cut and paste that, and they can send you money directly, almost instantly, for almost free. And when I say almost free, people are talking about the cost, the value of Bitcoin going up. So now it's about, 2,000 and so, whatever the cost, the value of Bitcoin is, it's divisible into millions. So just like a dollar bill is divisible into a hundredth, a penny, Bitcoin is divisible to millions. So you don't have to transaction, of 2,000. You can actually do transactions that are less than a dollar, less than a penny. That's why they call a micro transaction. There's ways that you can use this technology that you can have people just pay you a tenth of a penny every time they click on your picture. There's a way now that without using any other means, but using this technology, you can get direct payments without a middle person like Stripe or American Express holding your money, charging the person, your customer, and charging you these crazy fees. Now what they call peer-to-peer transactions. Me and you, that's it. Just like me talking to you now.
I got it. Now I see it. I have to see the vision, and now I see it. I love the way you broke it down. But especially when you talk about Uber and Lyft, the peer-to-peer. Even with lending, you see peer-to-peer lending now. Now we're doing peer-to-peer, peer-to-peer media, right? Instead of me going to, trying to beg CNN to let me on the air, I can talk to you directly. CNN ain't got nothing to do with it. I love that. And I also like the way you broke down and explained how the transactions, or how the Bitcoin itself, you buy one Bitcoin for 2,800, it can be broken down into 1,000,000 pieces so you can make micro transactions. And I think a lot of people have, I think that a lot of the big question that people have is, if I bought a Bitcoin, what would I use it for? Is it speculation? As you mentioned, is it something I can use for transactions? But let me ask you this, so before we move on, basic question. First of all, I want everybody to know, everybody needs to know his brother's name. His name is Sinclair Skinner. He is the founder of a company called BitMari. It's spelled BIT-MARI. Is that correct? Did I spell it right?
There's no dash. BITMARI.
Oh, M-A-R. Is that one word or two words?
One word, sir.
One word. Okay, BitMari. Okay. All right, that's another thing. It was sent over to me with a dash in there, but next time I'll make sure I double check that stuff. But okay, so he is the CEO and the founder of BitMari, and they're in that whole cryptocurrency industry. So I want to ask you this: if I'm an American and I'm hearing this interview and I'm loving what you're saying, or I live in Jamaica or Spain, how do I participate in what you're doing? I mean, is there any way I could? Because you mentioned Zimbabwe. Is there any way that I, as a person who does not live in Zimbabwe, can get down with BitMari and be a part of what you're doing?
Yeah, so there are a host of different exchanges and wallets. BitMari is not the only one. So it's the only one that's owned and operated by African American people. So that's one of the things that makes us unique. So we're leveraging the brains of brilliant and wonderful Black people to create use cases for this technology. But there's Uphold, there's Coinbase, there's a host of Gemini. There's a host of companies where you can connect your bank account to, and you can actually purchase Bitcoin, or what they call exchange. And then there's ATMs. You just put Bitcoin ATM find me in your browser, and it'll pull up all the ATMs nearby you. So So just
So
put in. You can get an ATM where you put your credit card in and your details, and it'll give you again a transaction number that you can then scan into your wallet.
okay. So since this is a new technology, walk me through. Let's say I went out and I bought a Bitcoin for 2,800, which is the market price right now. First, walk me through the process of what I might do if I want to go and just obtain a Bitcoin just so I can have one.
Okay, so the process would be you would actually go to one of these. You download our wallet on Apple Store, or you could go to Google Play, and you download the app. You can download us. You put in your details, and then you could actually go and purchase it by connecting your bank account to one of our exchanges. The exchange, the partnership we have is with a company called Uphold, but there's another company called Coinbase where you can go online and do the same thing. They ask you for your details, and then in order to purchase the Bitcoin, you have to have what they call KYC, know your customer. So when you sign up with a bank, it's one of the biggest things that's part of the anti-money laundering laws. In order to purchase Bitcoin using local fiat currency, USD, you have to go through a process where you give your details so they know who you are. Once you then do that, then you now can say, okay, I want to transfer $50 worth of Bitcoin from my bank account so I can get Bitcoin. And then Coinbase or Uphold will pull that money from your bank account and exchange it for Bitcoin.
Okay, so and I don't want to make sure we dig into this part first. I know I'm asking you detailed questions, but I want people in the class to really just kind of know, just understand so they can walk through it. When I first heard of Bitcoin, I thought about it as a Bitcoin, like I buy a coin for $2,800. But there are other people who say you can buy Bitcoin for as little as $10, $20. Which is accurate?
So again, you can buy a division of Bitcoin for less. So you don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin. You can buy a tenth of a Bitcoin. Okay. So if you buy a tenth of a Bitcoin now you're buying $280 worth of Bitcoin. If you want to buy, 1% of a Bitcoin, now you're talking about $28.
Okay, good. Okay.
So you don't have to get a total.
Uh-oh, we had Mr. Skinner. He froze, and it was going so well. Okay. Shoot. Let me see if I can get him back. He is totally frozen. So let me see. I got to bring him back. I got to find a way for us to have a strong connection. He's in Zimbabwe, so I'm not sure if that's the challenge with the Wi-Fi or anything like that. But anyway, so let's go back to the screen share, and maybe I'll get Mr. Skinner back. If I don't, then I'll just bring him back to the Black Business School, and you guys can see him at a different date. So let's go back online, and I'm admittedly a person who is learning about Bitcoin and how all this works. So I decided I wanted to learn with my students. So let's let's talk through some of this. So let's see here. Give me a second. And by the way, if any of you happens to have expertise in Bitcoin, feel free to email us. You can email me at staff@boycewatkins.com. That's staff@boycewatkins.com. Also, shoot, I got the wrong thing up. Give me a second, guys. But the other thing is that if you also are doing anything interesting in the Black community, I have a great podcast that you can join called Intellectual Chocolate. So feel free to join us at Intellectual Chocolate. You can email staff@boycewatkins.com to become a guest on the podcast. So Bitcoin was created in 2009, so it isn't that old. It looks like the big benefits are that there are no transactions fees, and you don't have to use your real name, so you can do secret transactions. Also, you don't have to pay fees. So a big problem that you have, and a lot of you who are going to start businesses are going to have this issue, you're going to have to go through some sort of payment processor like a Stripe or PayPal and all that, and they always take a percentage. They always take a fee for being the middleman. So a big part of Bitcoin is getting rid of the middleman, which is huge, and it also gets rid of the need for central banks and all this other stuff that we have. And in case you aren't aware, the central banks sort of decide, where power is going to go, by shifting wealth around, by adding liquidity and adding resources where they think that the resources are needed. And so, as you can imagine, Black people have a tremendous benefit for considering alternative ways to transfer value, whether it's through barter, Bitcoin, or whatever the case may be. And what's happening is it appears that Bitcoin is becoming more widely accepted. The question now, excuse me, from an investment standpoint is, is Bitcoin going to continue to evolve and grow, or are the powers that be going to shut it down? And that's a big question mark, just like the internet. There are a lot of people who said, oh, no, powerful people aren't going to let the internet last for too long because they're eventually going to shut it down because it's taken away the ability to tax, it's taken away their ability to control people. Their entire governments are being taken down by the internet, but the internet's still here. So on this article, which is on CNN Money, any of you guys can look it up if you'd like. Basically, they're saying that Bitcoin can be used to buy merchandise anonymously. Also, international payments are easy and cheap. So international payments are a benefit because I know that when I've worked with people overseas, there's always a question mark and a challenge on how to get the money overseas to other people. Small businesses may like them, but because there are no credit card fees. Some people just buy Bitcoins as an investment, hoping they'll go up in value. So that's one of the things that Mr. Skinner was talking about a second ago. Mr. Skinner, he's the CEO and founder of a company called BitMari, which is one of the exchanges on which you can buy Bitcoin. It's one of the places where Bitcoin is traded. And basically he was talking about how you can make these transactions without much of a problem. So how do you acquire Bitcoin? Well, here it's saying that you can go to a Bitcoin exchange, almost like a stock exchange, or almost like if someone says, well, how can you buy lettuce or carrots? Well, you might say, well, I can go grow some in my backyard, or I can go down to the local farm. But you're not thinking that, right? You're thinking, I want to go to the grocery store. That's probably where you're going to go buy carrots, right? So with Bitcoin, an exchange would be a place where you would go buy the Bitcoin the same way you would go and buy carrots if you wanted carrots or wanted lettuce. MTGOX is the largest Bitcoin exchange. BitMari also is part of an exchange. They have a partnership with a company called Uphold and another company called Coinbase. So if you look up BitMari, I don't know their website. Mr. Skinner got pushed out before we got a chance to get the website. But I'm sure if you look up the word BitMari, 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 you can find what he's doing and see if you want to make a transaction through his company. I'm not recommending the company. I don't know Mr. Skinner. Just met him today. So, but I can say that you're welcome to go investigate and see if you like it. Transfers. How do you transfer? People can send Bitcoin to each other using mobile apps on their computers. It's similar to sending cash digitally. So it appears that if I had some Bitcoin and I wanted to connect with you and buy something from you or get a service from you, I'd say, hey, I'll send you some of my Bitcoin. So you think about it, the currency is a little bit like any other thing of value. Imagine if you had no money. Imagine if you had no money, but you had gold in your house and cell phones and pairs of Air Jordans, right? I could say, hey, I need you to work for me. And you say, well, pay me, $200. I say, well, I ain't got $200, but I can give you a couple pairs of Jordans. Then you might say, okay, great. But understand that my ability to get you to buy some, to do work for me in exchange for a pair of Jordans is highly dependent upon whether or not you even value that currency. If you're a person who doesn't like Jordans, then you're gonna say, I don't care. I don't want your Jordans. I want cash, or I'd rather have some chicken. I need food. I don't need shoes, right? So ultimately, that's kind of what ends up sort of being the funny part about whether currencies are going to do well or not do well. It's sort of how is that currency viewed around the world? Can that currency be used anywhere deals are done, or is that a currency that's only applicable in a certain space? Like a coupon. A coupon has value. But if it's a coupon that lets you get, 25% off anything that you buy out of Walmart, well, that coupon does not have much value outside of Walmart, except for among people who see value in Walmart, right? So the same thing might be true with Bitcoin or selling pairs of Jordans, whatever the case may be. Now, I'm going to take a little bit of a break, and I want to let you guys know, if you haven't looked into our stock market investing class, this is the kind of stuff that we cover. You're welcome to go check it out. You can go to theblackstockmarketprogram.com. That's theblackstockmarketprogram.com. Also, we're doing the Black Wealth Bootcamp now. We're doing another session of that. It's an amazing program. Thousands of people have gone through it. The reviews are always amazing. If you know anybody who's taken it, just ask them about it, and they're going to tell you good things. If they tell you bad things, you shouldn't try it. But if they tell you good things, I hope you'll consider it. You can go to theblackwealthbootcamp.com. That's theblackwealthbootcamp.com. Okay, Moath says, is Ethereum the next Bitcoin? I heard it went from $90 in January to $295 now. I don't know, Moath. Let me look it up. We can Google it. I don't know anything about Ethereum. And so if you're an Ethereum expert, email staff@boycewatkins.com, and I will bring you to class too. So let me see here. Wait, let me see if I can find. Okay, we're gonna go online, go on a little digital field trip, and Moth wants to know about Ethereum. So let's say, what is Ethereum? Ethereum is an open source public blockchain based it's an open source public blockchain based distributed computing platform featuring smart contract scripting functionality, which facilitates online contractual agreements. All right. Well, shit. Well, that wasn't fun to read. So let's see. Let's look here up. Let's look at the price. Okay, so I'm gonna see what the price is. Let's see if there's a lot of times I'll pull up a little chart. It looks like it's going up. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you though. Remember, one of the things we talk about in the stock market class is that the what an asset has done in the past is not a predictor of what it's going to do in the future. But you can see that Ethereum is on a tear. It hit a record high of $20.41. On Sunday, the price is up over 2,800% year to date. Korea is driving Ethereum trade. Continued interest in the underlying blockchain behind Ethereum has led to support from big companies such as Microsoft. You know, that's information that should totally be ignored. But one of the funny things about it is, that you're kind of dealing with a situation where on one hand you see a lot of momentum, on the other hand though you might see a lot of hype. A lot of times when something gets big, like for example, there was a big article talking about how much Bitcoin has gone up in value, and that made everyone go out and buy more Bitcoin. And that doesn't mean necessarily that Bitcoin is a great investment. It just means that sometimes when there's a lot of hype around something, a lot of people dive into it. And so here you're seeing this article on Motherboard Vice that the rising price of Bitcoin and Ethereum is leading to more hacking attempts. So I imagine their ability to protect themselves from hackers is pretty important. So is Ethereum the new Bitcoin? I don't know, but it looks like there might be something going on. I don't know if it's competitive. Let's look it up. Let's see. Ethereum. Let's see here. Bitcoin versus Ethereum. What's the main difference? Okay, Huffington Post threw up an article on this. While Bitcoin has been dominant in the cryptocurrency scene, it's certainly not alone. Ethereum is another cryptocurrency related project that has attracted a lot of hype because of additional features and applications. Ethereum is more than just money. The first thing about Ethereum is that it's not just a digital currency. It's a blockchain-based platform with many aspects. It features smart contracts, the Ethereum virtual machine, and it uses its currency called Ether for peer-to-peer contracts. Now that's just a cool name, Ether. Y'all remember Nas when he did the Ether on Jay-Z? Anyway, okay, so let me refocus because now the song is playing in my head. Give me a second here. All right, Godson across the belly. You thought you lost already. All right, so anyway, Ethereum's smart contracts use blockchain stored applications for contract negotiation and facilitation. The benefit of these contracts is that the blockchain provides a decentralized way to verify and enforce them. Okay, so I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but what I can say is that if I'm thinking about investing in Bitcoin, one of the things that would cross my brain is, okay, what exactly is happening here? Like what's really occurring, in this this emergence of Ethereum as an alternative to Bitcoin? Is it something where one day these two digital currencies are going to coexist, or is it sort of a battle for dominance? A lot of industries were like that. I mean, you remember when VCRs came out, you had the VHS and you had the Beta. I think that's what it was, and a Betamax. And I think Betamax was actually ahead for a while, and then they got knocked out by a totally different standard. So anything you had that was Betamax wasn't any good anymore. So I'm wondering, is this a scenario or is it a scenario emerging where we're just going to have different cryptocurrencies out here, or is it a scenario where only one can win, only one can survive? Let's see. Brian says you actually know Ether lyrics, almost as impressive as your thesis. Well, just remember, I was a black man before I became a finance professor. Hip hop is the only music I've ever really paid much attention to, other than classical. I like classical music, but that's it. So yeah, I do know. I know a lot of stuff. My favorite rapper actually used to be Spice One out of the Bay Area. Yeah, a lot of the hip hop heads may not even know a lot about Spice One, but he's one of the greatest poets of all time. Even though his music is definitely on the ratchet side. So there you go. Now I've confessed that. So just know, and I think it's important to talk to kind of make sure you guys just know that all I am is I'm like your brother, your daddy, your uncle, your son. Professors are not some sort of weird species that comes from another planet. They're not any different from you. They are just regular people who happen to have gone to school for a long time. And what happens, which is crazy, is that when you're a professor, you get put in this box like you're some sort of goody two shoes nerdy guy. And I'm not a bad boy. I don't try to be a bad boy. I'm just a man who has common sense. And but I don't, so I don't. It drives me crazy when people treat you like you're a priest, like because you have a PhD, that means that people can't cuss around you, drink or smoke. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You're human. So I think that's important to make sure your kids know that, because a lot of your kids may not want to study hard or be smart in school because they think that in order to, if you make good grades, then that somehow makes you different from the kids who don't make good grades. No, you're actually a leader. Every black child is supposed to make good grades. Every black child is supposed to be a genius. Every black child is supposed to be a leader. Every black child is supposed to be great, or at the very least, every black child is supposed to be pushed to greatness. Point blank, period. So one day in 100 years, me having a PhD won't be a big deal in the black community, and that's what I'm striving for. I'm not striving to be different from anybody. I'm striving to replicate, those of us who are trying to do something that's going to actually make us strong as opposed to making us weak. Now, let me get off the soapbox here. Let me jump back in. Okay, let's see. Jess Johns is asking, are blockchain companies a good investment even though they trade on the OTC? That I can't answer. I wouldn't say they're a good or a bad investment, Jess. In the Black Stock Market Program, we always talk about the fact that you really can't predict what a stock is going to do in the future. So, anybody who even claims to be able to answer that question probably can't really answer that question. Investing is kind of a funny thing. There's this thing called information. Information drives price movements, and the information that's publicly available is available to everybody. So what you have to realize is that, while you might think that, the article you read in the Wall Street Journal gives you an insight into the future of this company that other people don't have, the truth is everybody read the same article. Everybody saw that the company has all these great earnings prospects. So what happens is the price changes in correspondence to that. So what I talk to my students about in the Black Stock Market Program, mostly, we start the foundation with diversification and long-term holding. You hold your stocks for a long time. You make sure you diversify. You don't try to get in. You don't turn the stock market into a casino, because that's how people lose money. Let's see. Moth, it says Litecoin is also very new. It's affordable now and could gain traction like Bitcoin. Litecoin is only $30. But sounds like Moth is doing his homework. Shoot, I might have to bring you in. Maybe you can come in and be a guest and talk about your experience. I'd love to hear that. Let's see here. Tashana is saying, will this be recorded? Yes. If you log into the blackstockmarketprogram.com, every single thing that I do, every guest that I have, every conversation, every Q&A, every PowerPoint lecture series, everything is in there. So if you go into theblackstockmarketprogram.com right now, you will find enough content to literally change your life, and it doesn't cost you that much money to join. Let's see. So BitMari is like Coinbase. I don't think BitMari is like Coinbase. I think BitMari is a partner with Coinbase. So BitMari is different from Coinbase, but they complement each other. Is BitMari an e-wallet? Yes, that's what I thought that Mr. Skinner said. I got to bring Mr. Skinner back. He's a great guy. Let's see here. Shaquita says, I wish you could simplify it so we can understand exactly how to use it and exactly how to make money with it. I'm slowly getting it, but still hard to envision. You know what, Shaquita, I agree. Shaquita Graham is one of our great students. She actually runs a company called Attecho, ATTECHCO. And Attecho, they teach technology to Black people, stuff like that. Anyway, I agree with you, Shaquita. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to Mr. Skinner and see if I can work with him to have him in a series of conversations where we can kind of lay out a step-by-step lecture series on how to get started in Bitcoin and how to understand everything about digital cryptocurrency. I'll probably make it like a mini lecture series within the Black Business School. So I'm going to go ahead and talk to him and see if we can strike a deal and make that happen. Let's see here. Brandon, how much does it cost to get started? It doesn't cost much. Bitcoin can actually be chopped into pieces. This is what Mr. Skinner was just talking about. Bitcoin, you don't actually have to buy a whole Bitcoin. A Bitcoin is worth about $2,800 now, but you can buy 1% of a Bitcoin. You can buy 10% of a Bitcoin. So you would go to one of these exchanges, like a BitMari or somewhere else, and you would buy your Bitcoin, and you connect it to your bank account, and you buy as much Bitcoin as you want, just like sending money over to buy pairs of shoes. Ty Joe says, would you take your business public? Why or why not? Let's see here. Yeah, I'm reading the rest of your question here. And yeah, and Ty, what Ty's talking about is when people take their companies public, what the upside and the downside is. You hear it all the time about a company going public and suddenly the company's worth billions of dollars. Most of the time, if you get venture capital money for your small business, you're going to get money that accelerates your ability to grow. It makes it easier for you to make investments. You suddenly have a cash infusion into the company, which makes it easier for you to operate. If you go with a VC, the VC's goal will be to a venture capitalist. The venture capitalist goal will be to eventually take you public. The question is that a good thing or not, right? A lot of us, a lot of us think that, when a Black company gets a huge amount of money that's invested from the outside, that's always a good thing. And I need you to sort of stop thinking that way. I need you to let that go. I need you to think about life and realize that, all money ain't good money. All money ain't good money. There are partnerships you can do where someone gives you access to extra resources that can make your company stronger, that can allow you to be more consistent with your mission. And then there are situations where somebody's literally trying to buy you out. And before you know it, you're doing something totally different from what your original vision was. That's why a lot of your civil rights organizations are not that effective, because they all get bought out. I'm not a huge fan of the NAACP, not because I don't like the people over there, but because I think they have this big, huge, gigantic board and all this corporate money floating around. So it's very difficult for them to really do what I think they really want to do their best work. So what I can say is that with my companies, I've only allowed a couple of outside investors, and I've only allowed actually one outside investor in our company in 7 or 8 years. In the last decade or so that we've been trying to do this, I've only allowed one investor in, and it was a person from Africa who was allowed in because he didn't care what we did. He didn't care what we talked about. He didn't care anything about how we did business. He just said, I trust you. I think you're smart. I think you guys are good. What you're doing is going to go places, and I want to make some money. I said, that's great. I love it. So as long as we helped him make money, it was fine. And it allowed us to still operate the way we operate, to do what we want to do. And then even in terms of partnerships, I don't really have that. We don't do a ton of partnerships, except for, like, I'll do partnerships. I've done partnerships with Tariq Nasheed, Zaza Ali, Lamar and Ronnie Tyler, who run Black and Married with Kids. And those are companies we wrote, Dr. Roosevelt Mitchell III, Dr. Tyra Selden. I do partners with people like that because because the conversation always starts with, do you love Black people as much as I do? And are we going to always make sure Black people are the center of our attention? And so, long story short, if you talk about going public, Tyler, and this goes back to your question, you got to be really careful about that. The thing about going public is that you get a bunch of money that comes in, but it's like sort of a bunch of people moving into your house, right? A whole bunch of people moving to your house, and everybody's paying, you $100 a month. So you're like, oh my God, this is great. I'm going to have so much extra money. But now that's not really your house anymore. They're going to say, okay, this is my room. This is, somebody else says, oh, that's my room. And somebody says, well, I got the East Wing, right? And next thing you know, you only have the bathroom that belongs to you, or maybe you have the living room and that's it. And you're wondering, like, why are people moving things around in my house? Why are people, changing the colors on the walls and moving the furniture around? So, so what you can see happen sometimes is that a company will go public and the vision of the company will be dampened by all the investors that come in. They don't care about your vision. They don't care about your passion. They don't care about your purpose. They care about making that money. That's it. So that's why you'll have situations like Steve Jobs got kicked. He created Apple. Apple went public, and then they kicked him out of Apple. They're like, okay, thank you, you can go now. And they ended up bringing him back in because they didn't know how to run the damn company. But really, I think for black businesses, I don't really necessarily get happy when I hear about a black company that goes public. I don't think a black IPO on the New York Stock Exchange is all that worth celebrating, to be honest with you, because I don't really know if a company can be publicly traded and truly serve the interests of black people at the highest levels. I just don't know it. I mean, because there is a difference between serving black people and selling black people. And so I think that you can have companies that sell black people, but I don't know if you can have companies that serve black people. So that's just my 2 cents. Okay, so let's see. Okay, let's see. Cedric is asking, what is a blockchain company? Well, let's go back to let's go back online. Let's take a look here. Okay, so again, I do not proclaim to be a Bitcoin expert. So let's talk it through. I am a financial expert, so I can take information and process it in a way that that can be helpful to what you're trying to do. But let's start with a blockchain. Let's ask ourselves, what is a blockchain? A blockchain is a digital ledger in which transactions made in Bitcoin or another cryptocurrency are recorded chronologically and publicly. So basically, in the blockchain, all the transactions with Bitcoin anywhere in the world are put into this ledger, and anybody can see it, which is a pretty big deal. Here's a step-by-step guide for beginners on blockchain technology. And so what I encourage you to do is take a look and kind of try to see, sort of how, okay, let me shut this stupid thing off, and try to see sort of how this works. I personally think, they're saying that Bitcoin has been called digital gold, because literally they have in the blockchain, they actually mine Bitcoin. And I was like, what does that mean to mine Bitcoin? I don't even understand what that means. So you're like me in terms of learning about this for the first time. But I'm going to tell you this. If you want to know my opinion, my honest to God opinion in terms of what I've seen from Mr. Skinner and what I've been reading, I think it's worth looking into. One of the most important rules of investing is to diversify. And diversification means that if you're interested in something, maybe buy a little stake in it, just own a little bit so that you can have a piece of that. The funny thing about investing is that I'll hear a lot of people all the time who will say, well, I'm afraid to invest in the stock market or invest in whatever because I'm afraid I'll lose money. And I say, well, what if you do lose money? What if the unlikely occurs and you make a bunch of investments and over the next decade, or next 15, 20 years, you lose 10%, 20% of your investment. I said, but think about this. What's the alternative? What else, if you didn't invest that money, what else would you have done with that money? Well, you probably would have spent it. Well, if you spend money, then you're not losing 10 or 20% of what you put out. You're actually losing 100%. You're giving 100% of that money away. So even if investing goes badly, investing is better than spending. That's it. Wealth building starts with wealth preservation. First thing you got to do to fill up your bucket is you got to plug up the holes and plug up the leaks. And a lot of times the reason people struggle economically is because they've got leaks in their bucket. That's why that Jewish guy was making he jokingly said that, we refer to the black community as liquid money because, the same way liquid, if I pour liquid into my hands, it goes through my hands. He said, black people don't understand. They don't understand wealth preservation. As a community, they don't really talk much about taking money and holding on to it. They talk about taking money and giving it away. Even in the music, we encourage kids to take money and give it away. This is what I was talking about the other day on the Breakfast Club, that I said, listen to songs like, analyze the lyrics, analyze songs like, I think I might give away $1 million. I think I might give away a brand new truck because I feel good. Yeah, I feel good. And then he goes on, he says, I think I might give away a shopping spree. Goddamn, all drinks on me because I feel good. So what that's really saying is, because I feel good and because I'm doing well, I'm going to just give things away. I'm just going to throw money away, etc. And that's not really how you think about money. If you feel good about your money, you should say, I think I might invest $1 million. I think I might not get a brand new truck. Instead, I might go buy a house. I might go buy some land. I might go start a business. Like that. That's what I think you do when you feel good. You build. You buy. things that you can own, things that will go up in value. You don't spend the majority of your money on things that go down in value. You spend a tiny fraction of your money on things that go down in value, but you put the majority of your money in things that will preserve your capital. So try to get in the habit of just saying to yourself, look, I'm going to look at all the money I make. I'm going to look at all my bills. And once I take all the bills out, I'm going to look at my extra money, my extra spending money. And my goal now is to make sure that maybe 20 or 30% of that money goes strictly toward preservation, that money never leaves me. It never goes anywhere. It's going to be put into something that's going to increase in value. Also, what I've been talking to students about a lot is just not so much trying to suddenly overnight become a prolific investor, but instead to just make sure that you are consistent in terms of your priorities. So if you like to go, get your hair done and it costs you, I don't know, $80 a month. I have no idea what it costs to get hair done. Just say to yourself, I'm gonna invest the same amount that I spend on my hair. So just match it. Do a matching program for yourself. Just like your company in your 401k does a matching program, do a matching program for yourself. Just say, well, come on, I'm not gonna be an idiot. I'm not gonna put more money into Gucci than I put into the future of my kids. I'm not gonna spend more money with the Jordans, with the Air Jordan company than I spend, on my future. So, but I still like my Jordans. I still like my Gucci. I still like getting my hair done. I still like going to the club. I still like dressing fly. Whatever it is that you like, I'm not going to judge that. I still want to get a nice new car every now and then, but I will never spend more money on that car note than I put into building wealth for my family. Because if you tell me that you can afford a new car, but you can't afford to invest, then you are a liar. You are a complete total liar. You are a liar who is in denial because you have not taken the time to be honest with yourself about your financial priorities. I could look at your budget and tell you a lot about who you are and how you think. Your actions really are, that's your way of speaking to the world and telling the world who you are and what you value. So the example is I'm looking at I'm at my daughter's place in Colorado. That's why I got bananas behind my head. And I'm looking around and I'm looking at her desk and she's got mirrors and makeup and all kinds of hair care products and stuff like that. Well, that tells me that she values, her appearance and her hair. So if you have a bunch of investments, that says that you value your economic future. If you have a lot of education, that says you value education. So anyway, that's it. I'm going to stop talking now. If you haven't started yet on your wealth building journey, you can feel free to, we got a couple options for you that you can take a look at if you want. Go to blackfinancialliteracy.com. That's blackfinancialliteracy.com. That's where you can find our stock market program, our programs for children. If you have children around this summer that don't have anything to do, the Black Millionaires of Tomorrow program is a great thing, a great activity for your kids. You can also go to financialflashcards.com. We invented flashcards for Black children that can teach them about wealth and all that other stuff. So feel free to go to financialflashcards.com. And then, last but not least, I want to give thanks to one of our key sponsors on the podcast that kind of allow us to do a lot of free things for the public, because we have to pay bills. We can't do too much free stuff right off the bat because we're trying to keep our company going. But one of the sponsors that helps us pay bills is greatprospeakers.com. If you're interested in becoming a public speaker or have always wanted to look into the industry and how to make money as a speaker, you can try greatprospeakers.com. The first month is totally free. The first month is totally free. You don't have to pay anything. So go to greatprospeakers.com. Now, Tito says, where are the chocolate donuts? Okay, Tito got jokes. Tito, I thought we were friends. Anyway, the chocolate donuts are in my stomach. Haha. So eat your heart out. All right, guys, I'm out of here. It's awesome to talk to you. And you guys are going to hear from me again really soon. Those of you who are in the Black Business School, I'll hit you up again really soon. We'll do a Q&A. Don't forget, feel free to join the class if you want to join the class. It's a lot of fun. So take care, guys, and I'll talk to you soon. And you have an awesome day. Be good. Peace.